How are we doing? You guys are all like either like MIA or in the dark, or I can't hardly see you guys. Hopefully all is well. Welcome to our Body Electric weekly webinar. We are rounding out the end of January 2017, which is exciting. We're already almost through the first month of the year. Hopefully you're working hard to secure your 3 Lives Club for the month and ready to rock and roll 2017. I know I'm excited. I feel like there's just this energy and this momentum that's happening right now, and I'm hoping that you're feeling the same way. So I want to go ahead and dive in because I have a lot to cover. I'm going to try to cover it as high level as I can. If you guys have any questions, of course, you can always refer back to the recording, or you can reach out and ask in the team page. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I do have a presentation. I've been told by some of you guys that you like PowerPoint if I'm expecting you to take notes. But if I'm not, if it's more motivational, you don't like it. So I went ahead and created a PowerPoint for this. So hang on, let me see if I can figure out how to get it up here. Okay. So here we go. So tonight I want to dive into a topic that seems to be coming up quite often. I do a lot of one-on-one calls with my personally sponsored coaches, and this is something that is almost always asked, which is, how do I go about getting my new coach started right? How do I make sure that they're getting the right information? How do I know what to talk about in that first conversation? Where do I go from there? Whatever. So that's what I wanted to dive into tonight. I'm not totally convinced that I have everything covered. So this might be a 2-part series. So we'll see how we go. We'll see how this goes. And if you guys have questions, or if I feel like we need to keep going from here, we will. First things first, I know that I did a live stream yesterday in the team page. Hopefully you've had a chance to check it out. I talk about a few things in there, including this new Beachbody on-demand / running cross-training program / calendar. I don't know what you call it. We need to come up with a name for it, I guess, an official name for it. But it's really exciting. My husband is a badass runner, honestly. He knows his stuff. He's a former Division I All-American, ran professionally for several years. And so he decided that he would put his running knowledge together with my program knowledge and my personal training knowledge. And we sat down the other night for 3 hours and we created something pretty awesome. So if you haven't watched the live stream yet on the team page, I hope you do. The details are there. But there have been a couple questions that you guys have asked me, and I wanted to address that here because it's not in the live stream. The first thing is that this particular, it's literally a file. So it's going to be like a graphic. So this particular graphic that we're going to have access to is going to be available to all Body Electric coaches, and then all of your Beachbody On Demand, all access with Shakeology customers. Okay, so there's of course some like random circumstances where you have a customer who's married and both the husband and wife are both, participating. They can both have access. Okay, so 1 per household is fine, but I just want to make sure that we're not just giving this away. I don't want this to be something that you're like promoting on your social media as a free giveaway, because this is very high value. So I want to make sure that your customers who are purchasing Shakeology, who are getting into the challenge group, are the ones who are having access to this file. Either you can run your own group with this and you can do your own thing, or if you want to throw people into the group that Chris and I are leading on February 1st, you're welcome to do that too, and then we can include you in helping us lead the group. Okay, so you can just let me know. And then last but not least, this is probably something I should have addressed in the live stream as well. I got the question of what equipment is needed for the program. It's a 14-week running / bod calendar, hybrid calendar. We purposely chose only workout programs that required either no equipment or just dumbbells. Okay, so there's no bench required, there's no stability ball, there's no pull-up bars, there's no resistance bands even. So just free weights. Okay, so and honestly, there's really not even a whole lot of that. You'll see in the calendar when it comes out that Mondays are sort of the lower body strength training days. And honestly, if someone didn't have free weights, they could still do this 14-week calendar. They can do it without weights and they can still see results. Okay. Okay, last but not least is on February 7th, we have, and you know what, I meant to include the graphic because I have a brand new graphic created. But anyway, I'll post it on the team page tomorrow. We are doing a live surge event, okay? And I'm really excited because we have a really cool lineup of people. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Arnaud Nakaha from Beachbody Corporate. He's a pretty big deal. He's a regional sales director. He's gonna be speaking. My upline, 15-star Julie Boris is gonna be speaking. like 3-time 15-star, I don't know, she's like a bajillionaire. Janelle Summers, she's going to be speaking, which is a huge opportunity for us to hear from her. Meg Wazinski is a 5-time elite coach. Like, we've got some legit people on this call. So that's going to be happening on February 7th, just like this on Zoom, and it's 2 hours. It's from 8 to 10 p.m. So I know that that's 2 nights back-to-back of Body Electric, and I hope that you're up for it, right? Like, grab your bottle of wine and just, join us for both nights, because the 7th is going to be the 2-hour live surge. It will not be recorded. We're doing it purposely live. And then Wednesday night, the 8th, we have a guest speaker on our team call. So it's 2 back-to-back things. I hope you have them written down in your calendar. But those are a couple announcements that I wanted to share. The other thing is, you're going to start hearing from me a lot more often now about Coach Summit in New Orleans. Hopefully, do you guys say New Orleans or New Orleans? I'm going to have to just divvy. It's like potato, So I'm going to have to just divvy it up. But anyways, we'll say New Orleans. I'm super excited. I'm looking into finding highlighter yellow beads for us for New Orleans. I might have just given that away, but I'm super excited about it. If you're not already registered, it's CoachSummit2017.com. It's mid-July this time, so it's the 13th through the 16th, which means it'll be nice and hot down there for us. So if you're not already registered, I'm not really sure what you're doing. Like, that should be like number 1 priority. You should be like, okay, today I need to eat, sleep, work out, and register for Coach Summit. Like, those are the priorities, right? So make sure you're registered if not already. Okay, so let's dive in. Hopefully you have either a notebook, or honestly, if you want to, hang on, we have a chat. Let me just see what's going on. Okay, perfect. Making sure there's no questions. Okay, so we'll take questions at the very end, if that's okay. So I probably won't be looking at the chat again until the very end. So if you guys want to chat, feel free, but I'm not looking at it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to share with you is, this is going to be like, I almost just said the phrase nutrient dense, because I'm so used to talking about Shakeology. But I guess what I mean is information dense. So if you don't want to handwrite notes, feel free to take screenshots or take photos. This is something that I find very important. I'm hoping even to incorporate this same content into our revamped Coach Basics that I'm working on too. So the 3 main takeaways for you tonight, as we start talking about getting coaches started right, is first and foremost to know this, that the number 1 issue that I see with coaches starting their new coaches is they overwhelm them. They overwhelm them with too much stuff. Like, they feel like there's all this stuff they have to tell them about their website, and oh my gosh, like millions of things. And that is too overwhelming for a new coach. So I want you to really, if nothing else, I want you to come away from this understanding that your job is just to lead the coach 1 step at a time, to focus on 1 thing in your first conversation, and then 1 thing in your second conversation, and just continue to do that until you start to build the relationship, and until you start to feel like this person has a greater capacity for more than just 1 goal. Okay, so that's the first thing. Number 2 is that energy should be given only where energy is received. So you might come away from this call thinking that I'm like sort of hardcore about this, but it's been working for me, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. But I do not give energy where I'm not receiving it back. So if a new coach doesn't put forth the energy, or if they forget to call me 2 times in a row, I'm not going to go out of my way to make sure that call gets rescheduled. Like, I'm just going to assume that that's their responsibility. This is a business ownership. I'm not going to like babysit them. Okay, so energy should be given where energy is received. And then last but not least, being very clear in your communication, or even over communicating, is better than not. So it's better than not saying enough. So feel free. If you were to listen to my getting started calls with coaches, you would think that I was super redundant, because I say the same things over and over. I want them to understand what the next step is. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. Maybe. Here we go. Okay. So let's say you just signed a coach. Okay, so I'm going to go through this step by step, break it down for you step by step. The very first thing you're going to do is you're going to welcome them to the team, right? So a lot of you guys are already doing this. Maybe take a photo. I like it when you guys share photos, right? Like, even if it's somebody who has told you they just want the discount, like, we still want to see their face. So, introduce them to the team page by adding them. You have to physically add them to the team page, and then also by welcoming them. So post a big welcome. Tell us something about the person, and then make sure you're also addressing what this page is to the coach. Because sometimes I've had this happen, especially when I was an early coach in my young days. I used to, add people to the team page, and I would just be so excited about introducing them to the team that I forgot to introduce the team to them. So they weren't really sure what I was doing, and they thought it was a challenge group. And next thing you know, they're posting about their shake every day in the group, in the team page, which is fine, but they were just confused, right? So we want to make sure that they understand what the team page is. So the way I look at this is I add all of my coaches, literally every single coach that I have ever enrolled, I have added to our team page, because I feel like a lot of times people have a misconception about what coaching really is. And the best way to really know what it is to be a part of the team, right? To actually see what's happening amongst our team and amongst our coaches. So even if they just say for now, they only want the discount, they don't want to do this thing, putting them in the environment to understand what we do and to see the growth opportunities that we have might just pique their interest, right? So don't not include them, always include them. And then of course, you'll welcome them to the team page by including the photo. And then I always say, make sure that you let them know in the post itself. So even if you're sending them an email about the team page, make sure that in the post itself, you say, hey, this is our team page. You know, this is where you can engage and ask questions. Okay, so step 2. So this happens simultaneously. This happens simultaneously. So at least that's how I do it. So I welcome someone to the team page with a photo, and then I immediately go pull up my email inbox and I send them our welcome email. So how many people don't know what our welcome email is? Okay, so hopefully you got one from me. And if you're like, I didn't get one from you, I bet you I did send it to you, and it's in your coach email address. It's in your coach email inbox. So the welcome email is a template, and you can find it on our website, of course, which is thebodyelectric.us in the documents section. It's a template already there for you. All you have to do is just plug in the coach's name and their website. Okay, everything else is done for you. So in this welcome email, I didn't want to go through the details. You guys can look at the file yourself. But the email just basically gives them an overview of all those basic things that I know I used to just vomit to people on our first call. It gives them all the logistics in one email so that you don't have to do that on your phone call, so that the phone call can be more focused. So it gives them their website. It tells them, you know, how to get started with Coach Basics. It has all those logistic details. Okay. There are some associated files that should also be attached to that email. So there's the email itself, and then there's something called the About Me form, which is like a questionnaire. There's something called, I think it's called the Social Media Quick Tips, which tells them like what they should do with their social media, you know, what they should and shouldn't do on their social media as a new coach. There's a document called, I think it's called the 7-day starter guide, 7-day Facebook starter guide. You guys, I literally give you the first 7 days of what to post as a coach in that file. So if you have a new coach that's like, I don't really know how to introduce my business on Facebook, it's already done for them. They just have to plug in their story. Okay, so there's that file. I don't know what else is there. You can see it on the website. But I think that's what gets sent out. Those are the 3 or 4 files that get sent out to the new coach. Okay, so you'll see in the email where it says at the very beginning, I realize that this is a lot to cover, but if you could please respond to me and let me know that you've received it, that would be great. So that's the very first sentence, right? So most of the time you're going to get an email right back that says, I got the email, okay? The very last sentence of the email tells them, it says to them, the next step is for you to complete the About Me form and send it back to me. Once I have that from you, then we can move forward. Okay, so step 3, require that they submit their About Me form to you before they move forward. So this is literally what I tell people. I would love to have a call with you once, you know, to get you started right, but I need you to fill out the About Me form that was sent to you. There's reason for this. There's literally, you guys want to know where I got this process from? Janelle Summers, who I already mentioned is like a bajillionaire coach who's like amazing at what she does. This is her exact system, and in some cases her exact files. Okay, just tweaked. So the About Me form is something that I require because it asks them to really think about their situation, right? They're excited about signing up. Most likely if they're filling out the form, that means that they're interested in working the business at least a little bit. And so this is the best opportunity for you to get a feel for what it is they want out of this business, right? And the best way to do that is to make them actually sit down for 5 minutes and focus on those answers and give you their answers. So require that About Me form. So let's say that you've told somebody that, and then a week later they send you a Facebook message and they're like, Laura or Esther, I really want to have a call with you. I really want to know how I can get someone enrolled. your response back is going to be, I would love to help you get started. If you could just fill out that About Me form and send it to me, I will promise you that I will hold your hand and I will carry you through this process and I will help you be successful. But I need that form from you. There are probably some diamond coaches that are tuning into this that are thinking right now, they're nodding their head. This is why it comes in handy, because sometimes you have people who kind of fall off the wagon like 2-3 months down the road. And it's a brilliant idea on behalf of Janelle Summers. It's a brilliant idea to have something to hold them to say, hey, remember when you signed up and you were really excited because you wanted to XYZ? Like, here's what you told me. I want to help you do that, right? So it's a very, very, very important starter document for getting a coach started. Okay, step 4 is going to be, of course, for you to read this form thoroughly. I know that sounds like really common sense, but I hear every day about coaches who are like, yeah, that, the coach submitted an About Me form. Now what do I do? And I'm like, well, have you read it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, we need to read what they wrote, right? It sounds common sense, but you need to know if they took the time to fill it out, you need to know what those answers are. By reading that, you're going to find out what drives them. You're going to figure out what their goals are for the business, what their hesitations are. Those are all important things for you to know before you have a call with them. So when they send you that email, then you're going to respond to them. And that's when you say, okay, let's set up a time to have a call. Like, thank you for filling this out. Let's please set up a time for a call. It's only going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. So make sure you let them know that the first call is not going to be like a 1-hour therapist appointment. It's going to be 10 to 15 minutes where you're truly going to help them have a focused, ramp up for their business. Okay, so then that brings us to the actual call. And I have seen this go all different sorts of directions. I've seen people host getting started calls that last 2 hours. Do not do that. Do not give that energy. That's not 2 hours of energy in this regard is not where energy is being received, right? So you want to make sure that you're making the most of your time too, because I know you're busy. So this step 5, is what we call the GSR. You'll hear that acronym often in the Beachbody world. It stands for the Getting Started Right call. They have some pretty significant research out that shows that the first initial call and this exact process that we're talking about plays a considerable role in the overall success of the coach. So this is a really important thing to understand, that you actually moving someone through this process matters. It really matters, and it matters that you do it soon after they enroll. Okay, so in the actual getting started call, it's only 5 to 15 minutes long. I've had them as short as 5 minutes. I've had them as long as 15 minutes. I never go over that. In the call, I want to make sure I'm getting to know them. So in some cases, it might be somebody that I went to high school with that I just want to maybe we just want to reconnect. Maybe I haven't talked to them personally, verbally for a really long time. So I want to find out where they live, what they're doing. It's kind of a similar concept to forming a potential customer, but you want to have a good growing relationship with your coaches. This business is more than just helping someone succeed. Like, these are people that you've signed on board to be your friend too. So you want to make sure that, you enjoy their presence, right? You want to enjoy them as a person and as a friend. So get to know them a little bit, but don't spend more than like 5 or so minutes doing that. You want to actually have the meat of the call as well. So the middle of your call is where you're going to then say, okay, so I know you got the email from me. Thank you so much for filling out the About Me form. I had a chance to read it. I wanted to make sure that I really just talked to you today about one thing, right? This is what I hope will be your focus. So their first goal is, of course, what? You guys should know this, right? 3 Lives Club. You're going to explain to them what it is, right? You're going to tell them like how it works, right? You're going to let them know, 2 people purchasing a Beachbody On Demand challenge pack will earn you X number of points. You're going to give them a couple examples. You can ask them if they have any questions about that. You want to make sure that they understand that that is their first goal and their first benchmark in the business. I like to go a little bit further and also tell them that by hitting that benchmark in their first 3 months, they get a free ticket to Summit. So I want them to know that there's also an incentive tied to accomplishing that goal, right? So not only is it going to move your business forward, but it also matters because the company is going to reward you pretty significantly as well. And then at the very end, I say, okay, awesome. So do you have any questions about that? Okay, because I only really want to address questions about 3 Lives Club. If I say, so do you have any questions in general? Most likely people are going to ask me what I think about macros, or if I'm interested in a low fat, high carb diet. Like they're going to ask, I mean, all kinds of things come out of the woodwork when you ask for, do you have any questions, right? Same thing as with a potential customer. So I really like to keep it focused. So do you have any questions about 3 Lives Club? And then of course I like to wrap it up with just letting them know what their next step is, which is to complete Coach Basics. Now I will tell you that sometimes you have some go-getter coaches. And by the time you have a getting started call, they've already completed Coach Basics because you've mentioned it in the email to them. So they've already like powerhoused through the 90 minutes of videos of our Coach Basics training. And they're like, yep, I already did that, right? If they already did Coach Basics, then their next step would be to share conversations with you and to move forward toward their goal of hitting 3 Lives Club. So don't add something new. Don't throw anything else in there. Just keep it focused at 3 Lives Club and getting them through Coach Basics. The other thing I will tell you is that even when coaches go through Coach Basics, they still tend to have questions. So they could watch a video, about how to enroll a customer, and then the next day have someone ask them how to get started, and they will come to you and say, hey, how do I enroll this person, right? And so what I do, it's totally fine. That's what your job is as a coach, right? You are their mentor. I actually have on my phone, I use an iPhone. You know how you can have like multiple internet browsers? I have all of our Coach Basics videos individually from YouTube pulled up in individual internet browsers because I get the questions so often, right? So if someone says to me, how do I enroll a customer? Even if they've already gone through Coach Basics, I pull up my internet browser, I find that video from our Coach Basics, and I copy and paste the link back to them. That's why I created those videos, so that you guys don't have to just spend 20 minutes explaining to somebody how to enroll. We have a video about that, okay? So their goal, of course, moving forward then is to complete Coach Basics or focus on 3 Lives Club. And then, of course, if you'd like to incorporate, sometimes I like to send my new coaches a book, like a personal development book. In some cases, you could just recommend a book for them. Make sure you actually, touch on the subject of personal development. So that is it. Like, that's how simple it really is. 15 minutes, one and done. So I don't really like scripts, but I know that some of you guys do, and it might help you to go through this. So I'll go through it briefly, but you can take a picture of it and you can refer to it when you're actually talking to your next working coach. But basically, it says here, hey, it's Jane. Hey, how's it going? The new coach. Oh, pretty good. Taking a quick break over here in my car so that I can chat with you over my lunch break, right? This happens often because a lot of times coaches are working a full-time job. They've made 10 or 15 minutes to talk to you. So you want to make sure it's really short, concise, and to the point. So I let them know, okay, no worries. I'll keep this short. I just want to make sure that we get you started right. And that's when I start the forming process. So you're living in Arizona now. Tell me more about that. What are you doing? Do you have any kids? Like, what's your family situation, right? I'm getting to know the person. Then I dial it in and I go straight to the focus. Those of you guys who have, those of you here who do my personally sponsored coaches who do one-on-one calls with me are probably like, yeah, this is what Jenny does, right? Like, she talks to me about what's going on in my life, and then she wants to get to the point. Because I really like you, and I really want to, if you guys want to be my friend, I'd love to go to coffee or have like a separate call with you. But if this is a business call, I want to make sure we get down to the focused point. So that's when I say to them, okay, so I want to make sure that we get this going. Are you excited, right? I want to get the energy up. I want them to understand that this is an exciting adventure that they're taking on. And I want to let them know, here you can see where I say, okay, let's talk about what I think your first goal should be. You've likely seen some posts in our team page about 3 Lives Club. Most likely the person's going to say, yeah, I saw where there was like some, recognition about that. I wasn't really sure what that is. That's when you say, okay, let me tell you about it. Basically, it's what every coach aims for each month. It's a great benchmark that Beachbody's created that gauges your forward progress in the business. We call it 3 Lives Club. Sometimes Beachbody calls it Success Club, because essentially we're looking to help 3 people per month with a challenge pack. So then this is when they typically ask questions, what does that mean? You answer their questions about, the challenge pack equals 2 points, blah, blah, blah. And then you let them know, I've added you to the team page and the challenge group. And I really think the next action step for you is to get going with Coach Basics. Have you had a chance to check it out yet? Have you been to the Body Electric website? Have you logged in? They either tell you yes or no, and then you let them know, okay, that is your next step. So before we talk again, I want you to make sure you log into the Body Electric website and that you finish the Coach Basics Academy. Okay, so once you do that, then we can move forward and reconnect and have another call. Okay, easy? Okay. Okay, so of course, you want to, for steps 6 and 7, you want to actually follow through with anything you promised them in the call. So if you told them that you're sending them a book, make sure you actually do that. If you told them that you're adding them to a Coach Basics group, maybe you're running a Coach Basics group, or if you told them you're going to be adding them to a challenge group, make sure you do it. You know, don't just tell them you're going to and then hang up the phone and move on. And then step 7, when they've completed Coach Basics, that's when you have them schedule another call with you. Okay, so that's when, like, you're letting them know in the initial call, when you've completed Coach Basics, I want you to let me know. And those of you who are on this call, you know that at the very end of our Coach Basics training, it says, post in the team page and let the team know that you've finished Coach Basics, right? So when the coach posts on the team page, that's when you can reach out and say, I'm so proud of you for finishing Coach Basics. Let's set up our next call. Okay, that next call is where you're going to focus again on 3 Lives Club. That's never not going to be a focus of your conversations. Okay, and then you're also going to introduce the concept of achieving Emerald rank in call number 2. So an overview of what we've covered so far. Number 1, keep it very simple. Hopefully you guys feel like that's a very doable conversation that you can have with new coaches. If you are a brand new coach tuning into this right now, and you're like, ooh, this makes me nervous, like I'm a new coach myself, I would recommend that you involve your upline in your next couple of conversations. So the way we like to do things in network marketing, everything is duplicatable, but you really have to be willing to go to your upline and say, hey, can you walk me through this? Or can you handle this for me for my new person so that I can get the feel for how you do it, right? Be okay with that sort of shadowing mentorship. Remember that over communicating is clarity. In these calls, I literally say the phrase 3 Lives Club a million freaking times, right? But I want them to come away with it knowing that that is the most important thing. Last but not least, remind them to reach out to you with questions. And when they're handling their conversations, what did I say? Remind them to reach out to you with questions and when handling conversations, but that you don't always respond to them when they come calling. So this is very important too, because you will have some coaches who want your time all the time. So they assume that because you have a getting started call and you're making yourself available, which you are, right? You are mentoring them. All of a sudden you start getting text messages from them at like 10 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they've got basic questions, and you're finding yourself just spinning your wheels and spending a lot of time answering basic questions. You want to set the precedent that here's the way this is going to roll. We've now had our getting started call. We will talk again when you've completed XYZ, right? If you message me with any questions, I would love for you to do that. Like, I'm happy to help you with your conversations, but just know that I might not be able to get to them right away. It'll be within 24 hours, but it might not be right away, okay? What I like about that is I think that's duplicatable. I think that if we are really saying, hey, I have a family and I might not get back to you right away, that's real. That's keeping things really real. And that's very doable for our new coaches to do, right? Like, they don't have to feel like they always have to be on either. Okay, so what's next? This is a question I've been getting recently. So I have some of you that are on this call even have mentioned to me, okay, I feel like I finally figured out the getting started call. I feel like I've got people going through Coach Basics, but I don't know what to do after Coach Basics. I don't know where to take these people after Coach Basics. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you and tell you that I think this is a topic for another call entirely, which I would love to do. Perhaps we can do that in a few weeks when we don't have a guest speaker. But I do think that success in this business and success for your coaches comes down to a lot of one-on-one mentorship. It really does. And it doesn't have to be entirely on the phone. It can be through social media or through text. But I really think that helping your coaches with their conversations, being willing to check in with them for 10 or 15 minutes every week or every other week is really, really important. This was something I wasn't doing. I was not doing this prior to 3 years ago when I felt stuck in my business. I wasn't helping anybody on a one-on-one basis. And I remember asking another successful coach, like, what are you doing that's making you so successful? And her answer to me was, I do a lot of one-on-one. That was her answer to me. Now, let me clarify for you, because I don't want you thinking, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine having like 400 conversations a week. That is not what I'm talking about. Your 20%, right? Like your top 20% of who you work with, like the people who actually want to work the business, the people who are actually performing, the people who are actually pursuing 3 Lives Club and making it happen. Those are people worthy of your time and worthy of your conversation. So this isn't opening yourself up to every coach in your downline, right? This is you choosing who gives you the energy back, right? It's all about that reciprocating energy. So the other thing is that teaching coaches resourcefulness is also just an amazing concept. And I'll be honest with you, and you know, you guys, hopefully you can laugh at it because you know how I am. But there have been times, I actually got a question yesterday from a different coach, not in our downline, who messaged me a question. I can't remember what the question was. And I literally went to Google and I Googled it. And then I took a screenshot of the fact that I Googled it and I sent it back to her because I wanted her to know that the answer came from Google, right? So that's okay to do those sorts of things. It's okay to tell your coaches, hey, you know what? Like I felt a little bit lost in the beginning too, because there's so much to cover. That's why I'm focusing our conversations on what I think is most important for you. But if you have things that you're confused about or that you need more help on, I guarantee we have a Body Electric team call that covers that topic, or a national wake up call that covers that topic. And so it's very important that you start to become familiar with the resources that we have. Okay, our coaches need to know that. So plugging them into team calls will help with that as well. So we have a new resource that is very new to me as well. Literally was just posted in the Coach Online office a few weeks ago, called The First 30. And I don't think they mentioned it in the Super Saturday video. I don't know where I heard about it, but anyway, it's a new, I don't know, like training academy / training center in our Coach Online office. And it's indicative of, I think I have a screenshot here. Yeah. Okay. So you can find it in your Coach Online office in the news and training section. So it's news and training and then training library. It's called The First 30. So we can read this here. It says the First 30 is an onboarding program that begins when a new coach enrolls. The First 30 tools are for both new coaches joining Team Beachbody and their sponsoring coaches who guide them through the first 30 minutes, the first 30 hours, and the first 30 days. Okay? Coaches who start with the right business tools and direction from their upline tend to perform better in the business. So you can see over to the right, we have in Coach Basics, we have our own like set of videos that they'll be going through for Coach Basics. I don't know if the welcome video is really that important, the corporate one. But you know what? Some of you guys, why not make your own? I know, actually, Katie Kelly deserves a big shout out here because she forwarded me the welcome email that she's been sending to her new coaches. And I love it because she has a video embedded in it that she did of herself giving a new coach welcome, which is awesome, right? These people are joining her. They're not joining me, so they shouldn't have to hear my story a million times. So consider making your own new coach welcome video. But check out these other resources. So there's a First 30 Business Quick Start, an action plan, and a leader guide. So these are very similar to like a challenge group leader guide, but this is telling you exactly like a checklist of what to follow with your new coach. So hopefully that's also helpful for you too, beyond the getting started call. Cool. So that's what I have for you tonight. If you guys are interested in talking more about specifically about how to one-on-one mentor a coach beyond Coach Basics, like how to actually get them, you know, working the business consistently, that perhaps could be, I'm going to write it down as a potential future topic because I think that's something that I've been getting questions about too. So we'll kind of consider that our part 2 of this call, if that's okay. So I wanted to make sure that we covered in depth how to get someone started, what they should be receiving from you. You know, if you can get that initial email to them within the first 48 hours of their sign up, I think it's really key. And then of course, making sure you guys feel comfortable with handling that initial conversation. So do you guys have any questions? Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. Do you guys have any questions about any of that? Okay, here we go. With Team Cup, I have my team in a group. Would it make sense to have people share their conversation message? Or is it better to still work one-on-one in the Team Cup team? My personal feeling about that is probably to offer that assistance one-on-one, because I think it can be overwhelming to coaches as they're trying to work toward Coach Basics themselves, or Coach Basics, as they're trying to work toward 3 Lives Club and through their own conversations themselves during Team Cup. I think you as the mentor or the leader could be the one that helps with those individual conversations. But if you see something that, you know, like something goes through, right? Like you're helping this person with a conversation and then it ends up in a sale. Maybe at that point you say, hey, would you be willing to share that with the group? Right? So that other people can learn from how that conversation went. But if everything gets shared, like, you know what I mean? Like if every conversation gets shared, including the person who has every excuse in the book, that's just going to waste everybody's time. So I would take that on as an individual thing where you're helping them. And then if you see good results from some people, have them share those as testimonials to help the group. Okay, Katie, how did you include a video in your email? Yes, she uses MailChimp. So she recorded a video in YouTube or uploaded it to YouTube, and then she included that link in her getting started email. Yay. So I am working on revamping our Coach Basics a little bit. We're adding in a couple videos about the leadership ladder. We're adding in some new documents and resources, which should be pretty cool. So I hope to have that done sooner than the end of first quarter. So hopefully by the end of February, we'll have that done. But I really feel like coaches who get through Coach Basics tend to have less questions. The reason that Chris and I did that to begin with a few years ago was because I felt like I was just constantly teaching a new coach how to enroll a customer, and I was constantly teaching people the same thing. So we put our Coach Basics video series together to try to eliminate those redundant questions, to try to make sure everybody had that same information. Any other questions about getting coaches started? You don't have to type them. You can unmute yourself. No, nothing? Well, I'm super excited about, I just feel like we have so much exciting stuff going on coming up. I feel like this live surge is going to be cool. I feel like we have lots of things planned between now and Summit. So I'm super excited.
I have a question.
Yep.
It goes back to Summit, and maybe, I don't know if this would be a better conversation on the team page, but just where people are staying, and are you guys flying, driving? Have you made those arrangements?
Yeah, that's a good question. Last year we had a Facebook group for Summit, and so I think we still have that group. I might just rename it, and we can add coaches in that are going this year. Chris and I haven't decided yet what we're doing, because I think Ellery's coming with us. And so if Ellery's coming with us, that probably means that like one set of our parents is coming with us, so that Chris and I can go to the elite festivities.
I volunteer to hold your baby.
Yeah, we could just have a sign up for coach babysitting.
Yes.
So I don't know. Right now we're leaning toward driving, just because there is no direct flight from Indy. So it just seems to me like 5 or 6 hours in the airport sounds way more restricted than driving in a car and having the ability to stop. So
Not a bad
I'll be flying. I'm in Connecticut though.
yeah, it's for you.
Yeah, I mean I could drive, but
from Indiana.
What'd you say?
What do you think?
It's not that bad of a drive from Indiana.
Okay, good to know.
What do you think the likelihood of getting like an Airbnb would be?
I think that if you want to do that, or if we want to do that, or whatever, I think we would need to do that. You'd need to do that soon.
Okay.
There's been some talk about that on the elite wall, and people have had a hard time finding. Like they've been talking about VRBO. I guess it's already pretty booked up. So.
I currently have 2 reservations. We just got a second one that came through just the other day. So people who are on the wait list, don't lose hope. And we'll likely release one of them. We just haven't decided which hotel we want to stay at yet.
Esther and I just got ours that went through like 2 or 3 days ago, maybe like 4 days ago. Ours went through.
Yeah. No, the wait list works, you guys. Everything with Beachbody is like, if you're on a wait list, you're going to get off the wait list. Like, even if you're like number 7,476,000, like you're going to get off of it. I mean, Abby just got off the Punta Cana list, right? and you were like at the very bottom of the list.
I was like at 7,200.
Yeah, so I mean, you're gonna get off the list. So if you're not already on it, just get on it. The sooner you get on it, the sooner you get off. We have 2 reservations also, and we're trying to figure out. Unfortunately, we didn't know we were going to have the baby, and so we didn't register for 2 rooms. But I really do think that probably Chris's parents are going to go and help us out. So we need 2 rooms at one hotel, but we have 2 rooms at 2 different hotels right now. So we got to figure that out. So.
Kind of why I was just looking at flights and haven't tackled the hotel piece yet. So I'll definitely be looking for a roommate if people are interested. I guess if we did a Facebook group, we could go through there.
Yes, Jackie, I'm interested.
We can figure this out. Why don't
I sleep on floors.
Katie, I'm with you.
Why don't I make a note here I'll just create, or it's not a new group. It's a group we already had for last year's summit. I'll just rename it, and we can add people who are going this year, and we can start talking about this, because I don't want to take up the team page and confuse new coaches either. So we'll just do it in this separate group and go from there. So I'm going to do that tomorrow first thing. Isn't it crazy that it's in July and we're already talking about it? That's crazy.
Exciting.
I know.
I'm so excited because I missed one summit and I was like, I will never, ever do that ever again. Worst decision ever. So I'm excited.
And we missed you.
We missed you last summer, Katie.
Yeah. So, you know what else is awesome is that the Superdome, which is where the nighttime events are, is air conditioned. Whoop, 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 whoop. Those of you guys who were in Nashville, holy cow, like I get really, like, I'll say witchy when I get really hot, like get really crabby. No one likes to be around me, especially when you have like your makeup's nice and done and you're clean, and then you got to go sit and just sweat. Nobody wants to do that. So I'm super excited that we have an air conditioned location, because it's going to be hot down there. It's going to be real hot.
Can I just say that I'm really excited to meet all of you?
Yeah.
I see your faces on Facebook and on calls and stuff, but I mean, I haven't even met my success partner in person, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I'm excited for it. We got to start designing shirts soon. So, okay, so any questions really quick before because it sounds like we're doing a feeding and diaper change, so crying should happen at any moment. No crying? Are we smiley? Oh, we're smiley. Okay, so before that happens, because it's inevitable, any questions about the Beachbody On Demand running thing? Are we good? Okay.
You guys, it's so good. I'm a former collegiate runner, and I will plug this till the day I die, because I'm telling you, Chris knows his stuff. Like, this is an amazing program, and you need to sell it as an amazing program. Hi, Chris. I'm plugging you, man. But seriously, he knows his stuff, and it's a phenomenal program. I've already looked over it. It's awesome. So you guys need to make sure that you give Chris and Jenny, of course, too, but Chris is the running expert of the couple there, and he did an awesome job putting it all together. So, yeah. There you go, Chris. There's your plug.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, I've had a lot of people interested as well, and I think it's going to be even better that we have him willing to help lead the group too. So.
And if you have people that are more competitive, like that's targeted toward people who just want to run it.
What about, I have someone who's training for the Chicago Marathon. I was like, well, the first 14 weeks is designed for half. I was like, but we can talk about how to make this more of a long-term thing. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure they're going to try to run a half at some point prior to Chicago. Since Chicago's in, October?
It's pretty far away, yeah.
Yeah, so I would just...
My husband and I are we're going to be training for the Chicago too. So we're looking at starting it to do a half and then maybe doing it again, or just kind of building from there.
Yeah.
It's usually around Columbus Day, I believe.
Yeah, it's in October.
Cool. This is totally not my area, so awesome.
I just have to talk myself about.
So So, okay, I have to show you guys something, and no guarantees because it's bedtime. But we'll see.
But
Are you ready?
yeah.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder. Oh yeah, we're smiling. Yeah. Sometimes if I do it in the morning, it's like I get this.
Let's all unmute ourselves and we can all sing.
Yeah.
You got her?
Why don't you go feed her?
Okay.
Here you go, sweetie. Good night. She's like, what are you doing to me? He woke her up.
Yeah.
Here you go. She's smiling again. So anyways, okay, so sorry to side note. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna sign off of here. I'll have the recording uploaded tomorrow. And hopefully you guys got something out of this, I hope. So cool. I'll see you on the team page. Talk to you guys later. Good night.